All right, in lesson 3, we've already talked about, or you should already, we either talked about it or you viewed the video, the pod on lesson 3, which was perimeter of a object. Now here, in this topic, we're finding the circumference of a circle. And as I said before, we've already talked about the perimeter of an object. For example, if you had a rectangle, and if you were asked to find the perimeter of it, what you would do is you would find the distance around it. So perimeter means the distance around a figure. So that could be a rectangle, that could be a triangle, okay, whatever object. Now, really with this here, when we talk about circumference, circumference really does mean perimeter. It does mean the distance around a circle, but when we talk about circles, we refer to perimeter using a different term, and that is circumference. And that's kind of that gives us an idea that we got to use maybe a little different approach or a little different type of formula to find the distance around a circle. So, circumference means the distance around a circle. Now let's talk about a couple diagrams here of a circle. There's some parts here that you need to be familiar with. Now I have two circles here. Now I'm going to put in this first circle, the one to the left, I'm going to put a dot kind of in the middle. And let's talk about that segment, that part that connects the center of a circle to the edge of a circle. Okay, that part has a certain name. And also in relationship to that, let's talk about the part that might connect, or in other words, go across the whole circle through that center. So in other words, the part that separates the circle into two equal parts. Now the part, let's go back to the left one. The part that connects the center to the edge is called the radius. And the radius is simply what I stated before. It's a segment, it's a part that connects the center to the edge of a circle. That's called the radius. The part that goes through the circle and actually splits the circle into two equal parts, this whole segment is called the diameter. Now if you look at this closely, you can see that really, what does a diameter consist of? A diameter actually consists of two radii. And radii is actually the plural name for radius. So we got to kind of be familiar with those two terms. Now, when we talk about circumference, the actual formula for circumference, and you'll want to make sure you have this in your notes. To find the circumference of a circle, we can actually use two different formulas. One of them is we can take pi times the diameter of the circle. Now pi, that's kind of a whole different value. Now pi, usually in the past you've said that pi is about 3.14. Pi is actually a long drawn out decimal. And it keeps on going and going and going. And as I said a little bit ago, usually we use 3.14. I'm going to use this approximately equal sign to use what we use for pi. So pi is about 3.14. We're not going to use that whole drawn out decimal for that. Now just quickly here, I want to talk about where did pi come from? Where did this value come from? And from a lot of people in the past, notably a long time ago, starting with the Greek civilization, they found out that after they tested on a lot of circles, that when they took the diameter of a circle, and they found out that it took, all the time, it took about 3, if they took a diameter, say that was the length of that diameter, and then they took another diameter, and then another diameter, they found that it took about 3.14 of those diameters, no matter what the size of the circle, it took about 3.14 of those diameters, or about 3 of them, to go around the circle. And that was the relationship between diameter and the circumference, or the distance around the circle. So one way we can find the circumference is to use this. The other way we can use is circumference is equal to, since a diameter is how many radii? How many of these does it make to make a diameter? 2 of them. We could also use 2 times pi times the radius. So in other words, what I did here is I substituted 2r, or 2 radii, for d. So either one of these formulas we can use. What I'd suggest is if they give you the radius, like they do in this example, then we'll use this one. If they give you the diameter, for example, this example, I'd use the pi times d. But you can, if you're given the diameter, you can, for example, cut that in half and use the radius formula, however you want to do that. Now let's finish this one out. Now since they give us the radius, I'm going to use this one right here. So circumference is equal to, and I'm going to substitute this here. Instead of the equal sign, I'm going to use the approximately equal sign, which means 2 squiggly marks. I'm going to take 2 times the value of pi, 3.14, times the radius, which is 3. And that's all we got to do. Now we just need to take our calculator and multiply those together. So I'm going to get a calculator, and we're going to take 2 times 3.14 times 3. And I get about 18.84. And this was in centimeters, so the distance around this circle then would be about 18.84 centimeters. Now if I want to just get a quick estimate, if I did this correctly, just mentally take 2 times 3 times 3. Let's see, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. Yeah, my answer is reasonable. All right, let's take a look at the first true example. All right, example 1. All right, this time we're given a circle, and the radius is 5 inches. All right, since they give us the radius, you could use 2 times pi times radius. Or you could think of, hey, a radius, it takes 2 of those to make a diameter. So you could use pi times d. I'm just going to go through both ways, or just show you both ways. So in this way, you have 2 times 3.14 times 5. And you just simply take your calculator and multiply them. If you're using this one, double the radius. So take 3.14 times 10. Now really, if you want to do this mentally, the easiest way would be to use this one, because when you multiply by 10, all you got to do is move the decimal 1 place to the right. So you get about 31.4 inches. And you would get the same thing over here. Now, let's quickly estimate to see if we did this right. So let's take, I'll use this one. Let's take 2, let's use 3 for pi, just to get a quick estimate, times 5. Let's see, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30. Yep, my answer is about 30. So we did it correctly. All right, in example 2, this time we're given the diameter. So this time we have a circle, and the diameter of it is 10 centimeters. So I'll use c equals pi times d, which is about 3.14 times 10. And to multiply by 10, you just move the decimal 1 place to the right, and we get, by coincidence, the same answer as we did on the last one. And we label it centimeters. So the distance around that circle is 31.4 centimeters. Now let's take a look at example 3. A little different type of problem here, isn't it? They want us to find the perimeter. So in doing this, they want us to find this distance around the whole thing. And I'm going to change the color here. So in other words, everything that I have highlighted is the perimeter. This, and I'm going to draw an arrow in here, we do not need to find that dotted line. That's inside the figure. Perimeter is outside the figure, to outline the figure. All right, so let's do this. Let's do the yellow part first. So in the yellow part, 6, right? What's this up here? 6. And how do I find this part? This is the thing that catches some people. Let's see, from here to here, the radius is 3, right? What's this? 3. So this is a 3, this is a 3, this is a 3. The radius of the circle is 3. So all the way across then is 6. So actually that's a square, or part of a square. So what's the perimeter of the yellow part? 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. Now the little bit more difficult part. I want to find the distance around this half a circle. It's half a circle. So I need to find the circumference of a full circle. Since we're given the radius, I'm going to use 2 times pi times radius, which is 2 times 3.14 times 3. And then multiply those together. I think we had an example of that a little bit ago, but I'm going to just calculate that out. And we'll take 2 times 3.14 times 3. And we get 18.84. And yes, we did have that one. But that's the circumference of a full circle. I only have half a circle. So divide this in half. So it's 9.42. So the distance around this half a circle is 9.42. So what was the distance around this part? 18. This part, 9.42. I add the two parts together, and I get 27.42, and it's units since we didn't actually have a label on that. So 27.42 units around that. All right, last example, same one. What I want you to do here is to try to figure this out. I'm not going to work this one out, but I want you to ask about it if you do have a problem. Remember, you're going to find the distance around the rectangular part first, keeping in mind that, and I made a mistake here, I see that right now. I'm going to change this because notice that, what's the radius? 4. So this is 4, right? So this is 4, right? So what should this part, it shouldn't be a 6 over here, it should be an 8. So I'm going to change that to 8. Okay, now it should work out. So, you're going to find the distance around those parts. And then, in red, you're going to find the circumference of this half a circle. So find the circumference of a full circle, divide it in half to find the circumference of that half a circle. And then add this part, what you got for the perimeter, plus this, and you've got your perimeter. See what you get on that, and see how that works out. So, the topic today was called circumference of a circle. It's pretty closely related to perimeter, and you've got it.